Hello and welcome to my HD 595 review and comparison to the Sennheiser 6XX. The 595 was discontinued by Sennheiser about 10 years ago and was replaced by the 598. The 598 cost about $150 to $200, depending on like sales and stuff. And that was the same with the HD 595 about 10 years ago when it was for sale. Nowadays, you can't buy these new almost anywhere. So it's hard to give an exact estimate of how much of these would cost new. There's one on eBay for like $400. That's just because it's marked up because it's not easily available anymore. So let's just jump into build. So these are like 15 years old, this model of headphone, and it's held up surprisingly well. So it's got the imprinted Sennheiser lettering. There you go, right set up on the top. That looks great. The headband still is fully intact and doesn't show really many signs of wear. Um, the only two places I think I'd be concerned about wear wise, which is perfectly reasonable after 15 years, is I think the ear pads have degraded some, and I couldn't tell you if it was by design that they made them like super soft, or if it was because of age. But in any case, these ear pads are incredibly soft, and whether that's intentional or not, I do not know. And the other thing is that they have a small crack right here. So that's probably, like on most headphones, a weak area on the headphone. But considering these headphones are about 15 years old, I think they've held up incredibly well. Comfort-wise, I also think these are great. Because of the ear pads, either because of age or by design, are so incredibly soft, these can stand you forever as long as your ears don't hit the insides of the cups. Mine don't, but because they're so soft, I feel like people who have ears that stick out a little bit more would have an issue with them hitting the inside of the cup. The headband is also very plush, so I've never had any issues with it being on top of my head at all. This particular pair of headphones is probably a little bit over 10 years old and has been used so infrequently over the years, it's kind of sad. My dad bought these when I was young, probably around 8 or 9. I'm 19 now, so about 10, 11 years old. And they've just been sitting on a cloth by a stereo for the last 10 years and been used like once a year tops. So, and I completely forgot that these headphones existed until I came back from college after already getting into audio and then seeing them and wanting to try them out for myself. Okay, let's just get into looks. So as I showed off before, they have this imprinted Sennheiser logo into the top band of the headphone. I have to say, I really like that. I wish the new ones did it too. So the 6XX, they have a Sennheiser logo on top, but it's not imprinted into the headband. It is just inked on, and I'd like, if I was buying Sennheiser, I like the prominent logo on this. It just looks nice, especially because it's just imprinted and is textured into the headphone. I enjoy that. Maybe other people would like the less eye catching ink print. They also have, I think, one of the better color combinations. I like the all black of the 6XX, but the 595 have this black on silver, which while I didn't like at all on the DT770, that's because the DT770 was entirely black and then with silver pads, and that was gross. But the black headband, the black pads, and then silver cups, I think looks very good on these headphones. Okay, so now let's get into sound. So when I first got into headphones, I often read about the Sennheiser Veil. And so when I picked up the 6XXs about a year ago, I was concerned that I'd be able to hear that veil, and I couldn't at all. And I'm very happy with my 6XXs, and I think they've mostly done away with any kind of veil that they had on their headphones. I think some people like the veil. In fact, I know some people like the veil. I personally would not want that in a headphone that I own. And these definitely have the veil. It's not that big a deal. It's not like makes me like hate the headphones or anything, but I definitely prefer the less veiled signature of the 6XX over the veiled sound of the HD 595s. So there's two things the 595s are kings of. One is a lack of bass, because these things do not have any sub bass at all, and the low end is not very impactful. And I'm not like a bass head or anything. In fact, some headphones often have too much bass for me. And I just wish these had a little bit more going on down there. Maybe it's because my LCD2s have spoiled me on the low end, so I always want all my headphones to sound as good as they do, but these things do not have very good low end, which is probably why my dad bought them when he was looking at reviews 10 years ago, because he doesn't like bass in his music. So these were perfect for him at the time. And then the next thing that these do exceptionally well at is creating a 3D sound. And by that, I mean, like, there's strings being strummed in Rat-a-Tat, Rat-a-Tat's Falcon Jab, where on the 6XXs, it sounds like the strings are coming right here. Like on almost every other headphone I've tried the song on. But for some reason, on the HD 595s, when those strings are being strummed, they come from out here and then come straight in towards the headphone. And it's a really interesting sound those have when they can take advantage of that. And it's not just on Falcon Jab or Rat-a-Tat. It's on a number of different songs where I've heard this kind of out to in as opposed to just back to front, stuff like that. And though that sound is not replicated on the 6XXs, and that's really where these headphones shine, is creating maybe it's because they have a slightly better soundstage, but it's only slightly better on these than the 6XXs. I really don't know how to explain it any better than it's more of a 3D experience with these, as opposed to just being like a back and forth on the 6XXs. These definitely have a element of dimensionality to them, so they can extend further into space, and it's not just because they have better soundstage. There's something else going on there. Let me find some timestamps. So, but let me talk about the 3D a little more. So I've listened for the same effect on my LCD2s in the 1990s, and neither of them gave me anything like what these do. And if I'm gonna just use Rat-a-Tat Falcon Jab as an example, because that's the one I listened to most recently. So about like every 10 seconds or so, there's some strings that are being played. But in particular, I noted down that 240, you can hear the out to in best. So if you wanted to try to listen for it yourself, you can do that. Although I think you won't have any issues hearing it yourself, because I heard it on multiple songs. It wasn't just the Falcon Jeb song. So it's not just a single occurrence that these do exceptionally well with that 3D sound. It is in multiple songs. So whether or not I still, even with that, I'm not the biggest fan of the HD 595s myself. So while many people really like flat neutral sound signatures, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm definitely more the party where I want one headphone to emphasize one part of a song and another headphone emphasize another part. That's why I have my LCD2, which completely destroys in the low ends, and then male vocals. I've come to appreciate that they're a lot better on male vocals than I had thought initially. And then I have the 6XXs for female vocals, and more towards the high end. Although they aren't like absolutely fantastic high end headphones, they're definitely better than the LCD2s. So I have my two different headphones that I use when I want to hear certain aspects of a song done incredibly well. So that's what I like to listen to. And these have a very flat signature. So they besides the lack of bass, they really don't emphasize anything, and they don't really leave anything out. So the vocals are further away on these than on the 6XXs. They don't have any high sparkle, which the 6XXs can have. They definitely don't have anything like the LCD2 have in the low end. It's just a flat, neutral sound signature. And for me, that comes off as a little bit boring because I like when my headphones emphasize parts of a music, parts of music, as opposed to just doing everything equally. It doesn't excite me in any way. But however, I know there's tons of people that really only want neutral sound signature headphones. They don't want V-shape. They don't want anything like that. They want neutral. And if you like neutral headphones, then I would say these are definitely that. Would I recommend these? While I wish I could directly compare to the 598s, I can't because I've never heard the 598s. So that's why I'm comparing to the 6XXs because it's the closest point of reference I have. Especially because these were only like $30 cheaper than the 6XXs when they were for sale 10 years ago. So they're pretty close in price point. And I would say that get these only if you want to hear the dimensionality aspect that I was talking about earlier with the 3D sound. Because these don't have that. However, in pretty much everywhere else, I enjoy the 6XXs more. They're less veiled. They have slightly more bass. Neither of these are very bassy headphones. But the 6XXs have more bass, more sub bass even, and they have better highs. And also better mids. Go figure. And so really the only reason I would suggest picking these up is if you really like neutral sound signatures and you want to hear that 3D sound. Yeah, really, for me, the neutral headphones just aren't my style. So if you like neutral headphones, I think these could be a good fit for you. So, I mean, I really wish I had a 598 to compare these to because I don't know if the 598s have the same 3D sound that these do. If they do, then it's probably better to get the newer model. I just assume, having never heard the 598s myself. These things get amazing reviews anywhere you look for them. The only problem is you can't buy it anywhere that they have great reviews on just because they're no longer for sale. What I would really think about when thinking about buying whether or not you want to buy the HD 595s is whether or not the HD 595s or the HD 598 would be a better choice. So I personally have never heard anyone talking about the 598 having the three-dimensional sound that these do. If they do have the three-dimensional sound that these do, and I just haven't read close enough or been in the right places to hear people talking about it, then I would recommend you pick up the 598 just because it's a newer model. Like, really, the only thing these have going for it is that 3D sound, in my opinion, and the neutral signature if you're really into that. So if you can find those two things on another pair of headphones that's less veiled, has a little bit more bass, then I would consider going for that one over these. However, if the 598 does not have that three-dimensional sound, then maybe it's worth picking these up because it's very interesting. And you just have to find the right songs to take advantage of it. It's not going to be every song that has the right recording where it comes in from outside. But on the ones that do, it's definitely noticeable, and I enjoy listening to it. I think that's it for my review. Thanks for watching.